Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. This is Krishna Dasa. Today we are going to do the revision of chapter 7. And before we begin, I'll say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So let me play the Guru mantra also.
Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Welcome. So are you all ready? Let's start with the revision for chapter 7. So the first question we want to discuss is, what's the difference between jnana and vijnana? Can you explain with the example? I think Minalji is going to answer this.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Gnana refers to the knowledge, while Vijnana signifies practical application and deep understanding of that knowledge. Gnana is often associated with the intellectual or theoretical understanding of spiritual truths. Gnana is about knowing the principles, philosophies, and concepts that explain the nature of reality, the self, and the universe. It is the knowledge that one acquires through study, reflection, and learning from scriptures or from gurus. Gnana is essential for understanding the nature of existence and the ultimate truth. While Vijnana, on the other hand, refers to the applied knowledge or the application of the knowledge or experiential wisdom. Vijnana is experiential knowledge that comes from living and practically or practicing the principles of Gnana. It is a deeper level of awareness where knowledge is not just understood intellectually, but is also realized internally. Vijnana is often associated with the practical application of Gnana through meditation, mindfulness, and other spiritual practices. Gnana is knowledge of, if I have to give an example, so it's like Gnana is the knowledge of Bhakti yoga, wherein Vijnana is the practical or a practical application of Bhakti or practice of doing Bhakti. Shri Krishna emphasizes that through devoted practices, one can truly understand and experience the nature of the universe and the divine.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So what Krishna is saying is vijnana is essential. Just jnana is not enough. And Swami Mukundananda gave a very simple example. He said, jnana is like, yeah, exactly. Jnana is like knowing everything about honey.
Right.
How it is created, what are the different types of honey,
what are the
kind of bee
benefits,
creates what kind of honey, and all that science you can know. Vijnana is actually tasting that honey.
right?
So beautiful. Okay. So in the context of Bhagavad Gita, what does the term transcendental mean, Minalji?
Yeah. So in simple words, when something is transcendental, it means it's beyond ordinary or beyond like normal thing. Word transcendence means going beyond. In the spiritual world, transcendence often refers to an experience with the divine of God, which is conceived as absolute, eternal, and infinite. In the context of Bhagavad Gita, it describes as the state of mind where pain and sorrow no longer affect us as in who is doing the practices. We live in the physical world but are not affected by worldly desire. When we are really reached to that stage, free from all the Maya. So it does not mean that we will not feel that pain when something is wrong or not going as per our wish, but when we experience pain, we see another dimension of ourselves, which is far beyond pain and not impacted by that pain. And we will not be impacted by that pain. If we can learn to identify that our true self is beyond all that pain and sorrow, then it becomes easy to transcend them. And we reach that state with the God realization by doing bhakti.
Thank you so much, Minalji. So if anybody has any counter questions, feel free to raise your hands or ask as well. Okay, you're welcome to do that. You have the freedom to do that. Okay. So God gives the call to everybody. However, only a few are able to hear it. And out of those few, even fewer have the wisdom to respond with faith and humility. And then those are the chosen ones. But why is it so? Why only very few reach the goal? Dipaliji?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Yeah. So we all agree that God shares spiritual knowledge and this is available to everyone. And thereby studying this knowledge, God gives us a call to everybody. Now we need to understand that intellect and consciousness is layered by Maya and lust. And this makes it difficult for us to respond to the call of God. Guruji has given us example of fire is covered with smoke or the mirror is covered with dust and the embryo is covered in the womb. Similarly, our wisdom is also covered by lust. Same applies for spiritual quest, wherein the divine will be known by many names and forms. The underlying truth remains constant and singular. This is profoundly explained in the Rig Veda with the sloka called as Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. That is, truth is one, the wise call it by many names. Now, Lord Krishna further elaborates that among thousands on their spiritual journey, only a few earnestly seek this true spiritual knowledge. And among those dedicated, only few or a handful grasp this true essence of the divine. So then the question is, how do we improve our success rate? Now again, Guruji gave us this brilliant example, the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu in his book Art of War, wherein he highlights, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need fear the results of the 100 battles.
You need not fear the results.
You need not, my apologies, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. Finally, if you don't know yourself nor the enemy, then you'll succumb in every battle. Therefore, understanding oneself and the enemy is very, very important. And it ensures fearlessness in any conflict. Now, this is what we need to apply in spiritual. Applying this in spirituality means knowing oneself is the first step of recognizing the divine within. Equally important is understanding the enemy, the material world which prevents us from reaching our goal of spiritual realization. Shri Krishna has also explained us in the previous chapter, chapter 6 of self-knowledge. He tells us to be our own support, our own great friend, rather than an enemy leading to our own downfall. We need to recognize our inner self, our own strength and weaknesses, along with the external influences of Vaya. This awareness is the key to grow in our spiritual journey. This path is not easy. It requires a lot to reflect, introspect, to be steadfast, to be unalloyed with unwavered faith, humility, and devotion. And therefore, there are very few who choose this journey with sincerity and their dedication, and thereby responding to the divine call, finally leading to liberation and freedom of the soul.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So as we discussed earlier, motivation is what helps us get started. But it is conviction that will help you finish. So very few actually have the conviction. That's why very few actually finish. Everybody, at some point, everybody feels all excited about spirituality and God and everything. And, they will either start going to temples or start studying this and studying that. But eventually that enthusiasm goes away, So that is why Krishna keeps repeating the need for consistency. Very true.
And it's also
Thank
the
you.
pragma one, Guruji. Recognize the
Yes.
inner saboteur. Yeah.
Exactly. The inner saboteur prevents us from being consistent. Very, very important. I just want to quickly call out Chitraji is a great example. She's right now sitting in a party and still attending this session. So she's leading by example. Great conviction, Chitraji. Thank you so much. Yeah. So there are some people whom Krishna says, I consider them as my very self. What types of people are they, Deepali ji?
Yeah. Again, now Guruji has explained us that there are dushkirtanas, people who cannot surrender, and sukirtanas, people who surrender to Krishna. And within Sukirtanas, there are four types of Sukirtana. The first one is the Artha, the distressed, who are unable to cope with the problems they face. For example, Draupadi surrendered completely to Krishna when she was being dishonored by Dushasan. Then the second is Jignasu, people curious to know about God. Artharthi, people seeking material possession believe that God can provide what they are seeking. For example, King Dhruv. And the last one is Jnani, people who are realized that they're tiny parts of the God. Now, all of them have realized that bhakti and surrender is the only way to realize God. Surrender is the act of letting God help us. All of these are referred to as bhakti yogis, and according to Shri Krishna, the main goal of bhakti yoga is to develop unalloyed devotion and surrender to Him out of pure selfless love. Krishna considers such bhaktas very dear to Him. And Krishna also tells us that those who are devoted to me are indeed noble. All those in my knowledge and are steadfast mind, and whose intellect is merged in me, and who have made me alone as their supreme goal, I consider them as my very self.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Like many saints have said the same thing, Krishna has said the same thing also. Jaisa bhava vaisa anubhava. So if we approach God as a business transaction, God will also help us in that business transaction. Sure. I mean, if you approach Him that way. But what Krishna is saying is, again, if you see the word used here, Chitraji, Deepaji, under of steadfast mind, again, the conviction comes into picture.
Yeah.
So Krishna will repeat it many, many times. The people who are in full knowledge, they are jnanis, and then they are devoted to me, and not just devoted to me, they are steadfast in their devotion, and
Yeah.
they I consider as myself. Thank you so much. What is Purusha, Prakriti, and the relationship between them, Sujata ji?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, everyone. So,
Hare Krishna.
so Purusha is the soul, the spirit, the pure consciousness, and is considered as the ultimate reality. Purusha is never changing, eternal, and absolute. It is beyond physical manifestation and is considered the ultimate reality. Purusha is the observer, witness, or the experience that is distinct from the transcends of all the material and mental formations. Whereas Prakriti here is referred to the basic cosmic material that is the root of all the beings, which means that which is found in its natural unaltered form. In other words, Purusha is the passive observer, the principle of consciousness without any active involvement in the creation or regulation of the universe. Whereas Prakriti, on the other hand, is the active principle that, along with Apara Prakriti, participates in the process of creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the universe. Basically, Purusha and Prakriti are the cause of everything. When Purusha and Prakriti interact with each other, there is creation, evolution, and transformation that happens.
Very nice. Thank you so much. In the next chapter, 8th chapter, we will be going more into details. We will be revisiting these concepts again. So it's okay if it's not perfectly clear to everybody. We are going to again, even Arjuna is not clear about these things. So he's going to ask a lot of questions in the next chapter. Okay.
Even I had a lot of confusion, and Guruji cleared it in a very, very nice way.
Thank you. Thank you. So what has Krishna explained about Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, Sujata ji?
Krishna says that reality can be divided into two parts. One is the reality as perceived by our five senses, that is Apara Prakriti, which is referred to as material energy. And the other is what lies beyond the sensory level, which is Paraprakriti. Paraprakriti is referred as soul energy. If we want to achieve realization of the absolute, who is total reality, we must not limit ourselves to only the reality that is perceived through our five senses. So, Apara Prakriti consists of 8 components: earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and ego. All these 8 elements are simply parts of Maya. Paraprakriti is associated with soul's ultimate essence, which is consciousness, intelligence, and the life force, and it is involved in creation, maintenance, and regulation of the universe. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Just for everybody's reference, whatever Sujata ji explained, this is all covered in Sankhya philosophy. So as you know, there are 8 schools of philosophy in our culture. So one of those schools of philosophy is Sankhya, and all of this comes from there. So we will go into details again in the next chapter. So who are referred to as sants? Can you provide some examples, Tanuja ji?
Hare Krishna. Yeah. 1 minute. The devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the persons who are in Krishna consciousness, are called sants, and they are always in love with the Lord. The sons, eternally united in love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the giver of all pleasures, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yagnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, and these performance of yagnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in this material world.
Thank you. So I
The
think
key
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The key learnings from this verse is the importance of maintaining inner peace and equanimity amidst the ups and downs of life. It teaches that true wisdom lies in being detached from the material world and finding inner contentment.
Mhm.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. No, thank you. That was you caught the essence of it.
Yeah.
So basically, sons, it is a function of bhakti and devotion. So that is just like if somebody can stand upside down for 100 years, we can call them one kind of a yogi. Just like that, if somebody can just be always in divine love, that person is called as a sant. And there are many
True.
sants that we can look upon. For example, okay. So in Shankaracharya's commentary, why does he provide the example of a spider creating the web, Tanujaji?
Yes, Guruji. As per Shankaracharya's commentary, God in Vedanta is that reality which is the cause of this universe through its double nature, apara and para. These two aspects of the divine constitute the cause of the universe. That is why in the Upanishads, they often mention creation as the Lord projected this world and entered into it and remained there, like a spider that creates the web out of itself and lives in that web. A key point to be noted is that a spider creates the web but never gets stuck in its own web. Just like that, God created Maya but never gets impacted by it. The entire universe is said to arise from Brahman, the ultimate reality, and ultimately merges back into it. This analogy highlights the transient and illusory nature of the material world and emphasizes the underlying unity of existence beyond the appearances of the diversity. Just as a spider creates its web from its own substance and then reabsorbs it, the universe is said to emerge from and ultimately dissolve back into the divine. This analogy emphasizes the idea of cosmic unity and the divine's immanence in all the things. The web represents the universe, and the spider symbolizes the divine creator, who is both immanent and transcendent. This metaphor emphasizes the interconnectedness of all the things and the divine source from which they originate. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So two main aspects of the spider. First aspect, the spider doesn't have to go outside to buy material to create the web. The material for creating the web comes from within the spider only. So just like that, we say that God created the universe from himself. So universe was created through God only. And second, spider never gets stuck in its own web. Just like that, the God creates Maya and illusion and all of that, but God is above all of that. So that is why Shankaracharya is using spider as an analogy. Okay. So in verses 7.8 through 7.11, Shri Krishna explains how he is everywhere and the essence of everything. So can you list down what all Krishna has called out there, Suchita ji?
Yes, Guruji. According to Sri Krishna, all living entities are manifested using God's two energies, soul energy and Maya, the material energy or matter. Matter by itself is lifeless and needs a soul to come alive, and the soul needs a body to experience material energy. Thus, both come together to form a living being. Krishna calls this Sit, that is consciousness, and Asat, that is matter. Krishna says that in the universe, you cannot find anything which is outside of these two. This is Shankaracharya's commentary upon this verse. God in Vedanta is reality, which is the cause of the universe through its double nature, apara and para. These two aspects of divine constitute the cause of the universe. That is why in the Upanishads they often mention creation as the Lord projected the world and entered into it and remained there like a spider that creates the wave but never gets stuck it in on wave own wave. Just like the God has created Maya but never gets impacted by it. Krishna said, there is no truth superior to him. Everything rests upon him as pearls are strung on a thread. He said he is the test of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in Vedic mantras, the sound in ether and ability in man. Krishna said he is the original fragrance of the earth and the heat in fire, life of all the lives and the penance of all the aesthetics, original seed of all existence, the intelligence of all intelligent, and the powers of all the powerful men, strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. He said he is the sex life which is not contrary to religious principles.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So I think it nicely ties in with what Sujata ji explained about para prakriti, apara prakriti. So in a way you can say fire is apara prakriti, but the heat you can say in a way is para prakriti and things like that.
Okay.
Okay. Why is Krishna explaining about his abilities and his true nature, Suchita ji?
Yes, Guruji. We will find it extremely hard to accept if someone comes by and say, I am your guru, follow me. However, once we get to know the qualities of a guru, it helps us accept the guru and obtain knowledge through pariprashna and a mindset of service and humility. Similarly, once we understand the infinite and grand nature of Krishna, it should help us surrender to him completely. In the previous verses, Krishna explained his grand nature, and in the following verses, Krishna will explain the importance of taking his shelter along with the consequences of not taking his shelter. As discussed earlier, Krishna will never force us to take refuge in him. He explains about his nature and he provides us all the required knowledge for us to make that decision ourselves. By revealing his divine nature and capabilities, Krishna itself, just sharing knowledge, he is nurturing bhakti, the heart of the path of self realization. This understanding is vital for devotees to develop true devotion and surrender. Hare
Excellent.
Krishna.
Well explained. Thank you, Suchita ji. So Krishna has just explained how he is so superior. So if he is so infinitely superior, absolute and perfect, why is it that people don't naturally just realize and surrender to him? Rajesh ji?
Sure, Guruji. Hare Krishna, everyone. In the verse 7.13, Shri Krishna says, deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, I who am above the modes and inexhaustible. So this material nature is made of these three gunas, sattva, which is goodness, rajasa, which is passion, and then tamas, which is ignorance. As our body, mind, and intellect are material in nature, each of us possesses these gunas, and a combination and dominance of these gunas form the basis of our characters. For example, one who are in the mode of ignorance, they are driven by laziness, excessive sleep, intoxication, etc. The ones who are in the mode of passion are driven by endless desires and ambitions. They are mainly interested in the worldly pleasures. And the one in the mode of goodness, they are peaceful, moral, serene. So we should first strive to be sattvic and then go beyond these three material modes of nature to reach Krishna. Shri Krishna also says in verse 7:15, those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is covered by delusion, and those of atheistic and demonic nature, do not surrender unto me. So, to summarize, as most of the humanity is deluded by three modes of material nature, they do not realize the true nature of Krishna and surrender to him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Rajesh ji. Very nice. Shri Krishna uses two words there. Krishna says Ahankara Vimudatma. It pretty much summarizes the kind of people who don't surrender to him. One is Ahankara, a lot of pride, too much pride, and Vimudatma, delusional. And delusion happens because of pride. What does delusion mean? Delusion just means you have some beliefs and you will just not change your beliefs. Even if somebody comes and shows you evidence that says that those beliefs are wrong, it doesn't, you still not change them. So in other words, if you have made up your mind that, oh, I am bigger than Krishna, or what is the big deal with Krishna, you have some belief like that, and no matter, even if Krishna himself comes in front of you and gives you a darshan, you will not be able to accept him. That the perfect example was Duryodhana. Krishna gave this grand vision. God is in front of Duryodhana, but Duryodhana still can't acknowledge, because he was a perfect example of Ahankara Vimudatma. Very nice, Rajesh. Okay. Shri Krishna has given us a shortcut to overcome these gunas and free themselves from the clutches of Maya. What is it, Rajesh ji?
In verse 7:14, Shri Krishna says, this divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Here, Shri Krishna is telling us that it is not easy to go beyond the three modes of material nature or gunas and free ourselves from the clutches of Maya. However, he has also given us a shortcut. Shri Krishna's guidance is that we should just surrender to him. This will make it easy to overcome Maya and realize Shri Krishna. Another meaning of another meaning of gunas is rope. We are all tied by the rope of illusion or a Maya. For example, if a person's hand and feet are tied by a rope, they cannot free themselves. They will need someone's help who is unbound. The same way, Shri Krishna is above the three modes of material nature or gunas, and hence he can free us from the ropes of Maya or the material nature. Hare
Excellent.
Krishna.
So the shortcut is just call out to Krishna. He's not ever bound, and so he can come and unbind you. So excellent. So Krishna is describing the four kinds of people who do surrender to him and take refuge in him. Who are they? Ekansh?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare.
There are four types of people who surrender to Krishna and are known as Sukritnyas. First is Artha, the distressed. These are the people who are not able to cope up with the problem of their life. So when nobody is standing next to them to help them, they will call Krishna for help. Krishna says that he can only help people when they completely surrender to him, as it is law of universe. If you want God to help you, don't rely on your friends and family. For example, Krishna helped Draupadi only when she completely surrendered to Krishna without being dependent on Karna, Arjuna, or any other. Jijnashu, the seekers of knowledge. These are the people who are interested in knowledge which is related to God and how to surrender to Him. Artha Arthi, the seeker of worldly possessions. These are the people who seek materialistic things while living in this world, which can help them to become more powerful, wealthy, and many more. They believe that God can only help them and can provide them with the worldly possessions, such as King Dhruv went to forest and then meditated on the god so that he can become more powerful. But as his devotion grew, he kept his desire aside and craved for Krishna's divine love. Janani, those situated in the knowledge. These are those people who already has knowledge that each and everything in this universe is created by God and universe itself is creation of God. Every entity has God in it. They see God in every person. Every human soul are his part and God is the supreme soul. These people have pure knowledge that God is one and possesses true love for God. So these people completely surrender to to Krishna with bhakti and remains in Krishna consciousness.
Excellent. Thank you, Ekansh.
Thank you so much, Guruji.
What is the relationship between knowledge and devotion, jnana and bhakti? Asha ji?
Hare Krishna Satsang. So, so first day when I joined this satsang group, that time I had three questions like what is liberation? Why do we need liberation if everything is going on good? And liberation from what? And now I know like liberation is the ultimate goal of life, and bhakti is the easiest way to get on the to get our goal. So this is the thing, like jnana. Earlier I was not having this jnana, and now I have this jnana. So every work, whatever I'm doing, that is like in my mind, it's a sacrifice to the God. We have to work like it's a ahuti to Agni, whatever ahuti we are giving, like into the Agni, it's the same way we have to work. So that is the relationship between the bhakti and the jnana. If we possess the jnana, then only we can reach our goal in a very easiest way. So the divine knowledge or the divinity is always within us. Like the sculpture says that the deity was always within the stone. They simply removed the unnecessary part of the stone to reveal it. But this divinity or the divine knowledge is clouded by the ignorance, and ignorance can be wiped off only with the help of jnana. So, performing our righteous duties without the sense of doership to please the God, Supreme God, as a sacrifice to Him is what a Nishkama Karma. Nishkama Karma always strengthens the bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. And we also spoke about a very simple example. Like if you go in front of a child, you offer the child a choice, either a cheap piece of chocolate or a priceless piece of diamond. Almost all the children, they are going to choose the chocolate. Why? Because they understand chocolate, they don't understand the diamond. And that is what jnana is all about. God and bhakti to God is like that priceless diamond, but you are going to seek it only when you understand the value. And that understanding comes through jnana. And once you understand, then you know what to do. Then as Asha ji said, go, do bhakti and surrender to God. Seek that
Even the
diamond.
Ajnani person, if God comes and asks for the if I can give you bhakti or wealth, if a Ajnani person is there, he will definitely demand for the wealth.
Correct, because he sees God as a business transaction. There he is still not in the mindset of devotion. So why God? Even look at our own parents, right? I'm seeing some noise, so I'm going to try and mute you, Ashaji, for some minute. Yeah. See, even our own parents, if we look at our parents just as a source of income, I need a car, I need a bike, I need to pay my fees, and then you remember your parents only at that time, okay, they will always do it for you. But there is so much more you can get from your parents if you are in a loving relationship, right? If you're in a loving relationship with your parents, you don't even have to ask. Things will automatically anyways come to you. Plus, you will get the love and warmth, and you will also get some precious wisdom from them. Okay. So what does Krishna say about demigod worship, Ashaji?
Yes. People often worship demigods in the desire of materialistic gain or to achieve worldly success. Worshipping demigods can fulfill people's desire, but the ultimate goal of life is to attain the liberation. And demigods cannot liberate us. Only the Supreme Godhead can liberate us from the cycles of birth and death. Krishna advises that even those seeking worldly possessions direct their worship towards him. This way, their material goals get the spiritual significance and they become a part of higher spiritual purpose. It's not about giving up all material desires, but about transforming them through devotion to the Supreme. It's a path of combining material aspirations with spiritual growth. Here, Guruji gave us one example, like if the kids are playing with, a piece of paper, making it plain, responsible parents never stop that kid to play with that plain paper made up of paper because they know that this is going to strengthen their confidence within them, and whenever eventually when they become a pilot, it is going to help them. Likewise, people in lower states of awareness seek material gains from demigods. Lord Krishna says that he actually reinforced their faith in those demigods. Our faith in demigods can only develop with the grace of Supreme Lord. Additionally, any benefits provided by the demigods are granted under the guidance and permission of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashaji. I just want to add one more distinction. Very important distinction is you can always reach out to demigods for material gains and you will get it. There are rituals already prescribed for that. And Krishna says he will help you get it also. No problem. But if you want liberation, the only way to get it is if you directly go to the Supreme Personality. Because even these demigods themselves, they are not yet liberated. Because someday they have to again come back to earth. Like Indra is a great example. Lord Indra, he is the king of gods. But even he has to one day come back to earth. And then from here he has to earn his liberation. But if we directly reach out to Krishna now, we can get liberation in this life itself. That is the key distinction. Thank you again, Ashaji. What advice would you have for people who belong to the category of Artha Arthi, the seekers of worldly possessions? Actually, I think Apurva was going to answer, but she is away somewhere. So Kalpana ji is going to answer for her.
It's very noisy here, Guruji.
No worries. Kalpana ji will read the answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Krishna. Artha Arthi, the third category of Sukritana seekers of material and worldly possessions, are convinced that only God can provide what they are seeking. Krishna cautions them that if they choose to worship the demigods for short-term material gains, they may attain worldly success and reach higher planets. However, they will eventually have to come back to earth. The demigods can give us success, prosperity, etc. However, they cannot give us liberation. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead can give us liberation. So, even if we are seeking worldly possessions, it is still better to worship Krishna and surrender to him instead of pursuing various demigods. Thus, Krishna advises even those who seek worldly possessions to direct their worship towards him. By doing so, their material pursuits become aligned with a higher spiritual purpose. This alignment is not about renouncing all material desires, but rather transforming them through devotion to the Supreme. It is a path of integrating one's material aspirations with spiritual growth. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So people have debated for ages about whether God is formless or with form. So what does Krishna say about this? Sulataji?
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam depicts God through personal form like Krishna emphasizing a saguna aspect with attributes and a form. In contrast, the Upanishads depict God as formless, infinite, and beyond human grasp, beyond attributes, time, and space, representing the Nirguna, that is, Nirakar, Nirvishesh aspect, and the ultimate reality of the universe. Bhagavad Gita fosters understanding, with Krishna revealing the universal form encompassing both concepts. This shows that God can manifest personally while remaining the infinite, formless reality. People perceiving intellectual analysis are urged to reconcile these two aspects of God, and they seek to establish a hierarchy, trying to prioritize either forms and understand who originated from whom. But the true reconciliation lies in acceptance of both. Many interpretations, particularly in Vedanta philosophy, view both personal and formless aspects as eternally coexisting truths, not created from each other. And in verse 7.24, Shri Krishna clarifies that God exists eternally in the divine form within the spiritual realm. This divine form of Krishna radiates divine light, which embodies the formless Brahma. Both are not separate, but rather two sides of the same ultimate reality. However, most people cannot perceive this, as the divine form is clouded by his own Yogamaya, the divine energy beyond all creation. Only those who fully surrender to Krishna receive the grace of Yogamaya and are able to see and comprehend his true form. Therefore, pure devotion and complete surrender are the keys to unlocking the perception of Krishna's divine form and knowing the Supreme God. This devotion and surrender help us break free from the illusions of Maya, allowing us to truly know the Supreme God. A true devotee focuses on the personal form and acknowledges that he also has a formless aspect. The all-encompassing nature of the divine exists eternally in two facets: the transcendent form, free from all limitations, and the manifested form, adorned with attributes like kindness, mercy, compassion, and love. Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna says that both kinds of yogis who worship formless and manifested forms of God reach the same goal of attaining Him. However, as humans, we ourselves, being manifested entities, perceive the manifested aspects of nature with our senses. So it is difficult to focus on the unmanifested form of God using these senses. But it is easier to focus on the personal form of God. Through steady devotion and complete surrender, we open ourselves to receive the transformative grace of and love of this divine presence in manifest. And also in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a shloka which is included. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti sabdete. That is, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan are three divine aspects of the same God. These three divine aspects are sorry.
No, that is good. That is good. But that is part of the next chapter.
Yeah.
8th chapter. we will cover it. We will cover it in the next session. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, can you explain how we can transcend sorrow and pain, Sulataji?
Yes. Bhakti is a lifelong journey, not a destination. We need to maintain it and grow in Bhakti. And as we know, this requires unwavering dedication. Pain and sorrows are those inevitables which can become a cause for going backwards in the journey of progress, negating everything that we have developed in the path of spiritual evolution. We have to learn to embrace the inevitable challenges we face, for they refine our faith and cultivate a deeper connection with the divine. So we need to accept the challenges as opportunities, because there is a higher probability that we turn inwards with introspection and connect to the spirituality. Instead of seeking escape, we must learn to navigate these emotional waves with grace. With each storm weathered, our devotional flame should burn brighter, illuminating a path towards spiritual evolution. Swami Mukundananji says, The sign of progress is enhanced tolerance. Also, as we know, faith and resilience go hand in hand, where resilience is our ability to bounce back from challenges and keep walking on the face of challenges, and faith is helps us to leverage the power of divine and helps us to deal with the uncertainties of life. So it is crucial to learn to navigate these emotional challenges very effectively. And so how can we do this? As per Krishna's teachings, we need to learn to transcend these inevitables, seeking from him the needed strength for it. Transcending pain and sorrows means remaining unimpacted or refraining from being strongly controlled when we are tolerating or experiencing it. And I feel that this transcendence will help us develop the ability to acknowledge and accept pain without letting it define us or control us. Also, it will empower us to choose to respond to it because we will then be connected to a higher consciousness. We must always attempt to comprehend the true nature of ourselves and understand that we are souls, the tiny sparks of Supreme Brahman. This is when we get enlightened further that a soul is a mere detached observant, which is beyond our body, mind, and senses, that get engaged in actions. We then learn to see ourselves being in another dimension, which is far beyond the pain we experience, and then this helps us remain unimpacted by it. The more we identify ourselves with that dimension, the more we will be able to transcend pain effectively. This is self realization where we understand the true nature of ourselves as infinite blissful consciousness. With this realization, as we progress, we will understand the impermanent nature of the dualities we experience, and that we are not directly impacted by it. It's like watching a very sad, tragic movie that makes us cry, while at the same time we realize that it is just a movie and we are not directly impacted by it. That realization helps us transcend sadness we felt while watching the movie. Also, like the blue sky, which is never impacted by the clouds that float under it, no matter how dark and how stormy it remains. Also, as we extensively progress with this realization, we will be able to have an objective overview. This would then enable us to understand the miseries of life, and then we would desire not to reborn but reunite with the Supreme.
Excellent. Thank you, Sulataji. Detailed answer. Thank you. Can God be understood? What is your opinion on this, Chitraji?
Hare Krishna. In my humble opinion, it's an individual and personal experience. But when one has experienced God, one can be in that eternal peace that many times may seem to be silly for others. The only way to understand God is when one is able to religiously and faithfully surrender oneself to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. This step is made easier and doable for us as we completely surrender to our Guru. He is leading us on this path. With complete surrender, one can shun the bhav of doership. Here, one is neither the doer nor the receiver. And the ultimate enjoyer is Krishna, and it's all for him. He is the bhokta, that is, and by him, he is the karta, and through him. When we understand God, we will just become his mere feather like carriers or messengers. In the practical material world that we all are a part of, to understand God, one can thrive by selflessly and consistently performing one's duties religiously, that is, nishkama karmas, without the sense of doership and avoiding any sense of ego, neither attachment nor aversion, and offering the efforts, the end results to Krishna. Further, in this process, it is very important for one to maintain samatvam. One will experience God at various stages and in various forms if they maintain samatvam. Examples, this experience can be in the form of little forms of joyful gratitude and kindness around you. People may notice that you're being in a happy state of mind, good physical health, calm, peaceful mind, able to maintain oneself in their own joy and bliss, irrelevant of the circumstances around oneself. They are able to respond with a pause to the situations around them, but not react most of the times. Another way to experience God is through act of kindness. Here, if we are considering Aham Brahmasmi, then this act of kindness becomes all the more important. We are a part of Him, serving Him. In material world, there are some ample opportunities to give and bring kindness to fellow beings, and this doesn't have to be only for humans. It can be for anybody, humans, animals, to the nature, Mother Earth, plants, trees. So any form of kindness, you can experience that. Opportunities are many. We just need to be in the conscious of it by being in present and make the most of it. And then remember to offer, and this is also very important, is to offer this kind act to Krishna and enjoy the bliss. Again, the same thing again, that letting go, that vow of doership. This act of kindness need not be in the form of physical or monetary act. It can also be in the form of thoughts, blessings, heartfelt, genuine prayers for somebody, well wishes with a caring heart, and expressing the gratitude. God is not something that can be theorized, but it's something to be realized. And lastly, God helps those who helps themselves. But in my opinion, God helps those even more who try to help not only themselves, but also others. This question reminds me of the poet Sant Kabir, who asked everyone to follow the path of righteousness and said that serving others serves God. And it goes, Hariras piya janiye, kabahu na jaye khumar, मैं मता घूमत फिरे नाही तन की सार. How will you know God? How will you know who is a God? Realized soul who has tasted the great wine, the nectar of God. And Kabir says, you can see the symptoms. The person who has attained community with God looks like they are intoxicated all the time. This intoxication never comes down. He looks like insane, wanders like the same, doesn't even bother about his body or appearance. So these are some of the saints that we have seen around us who are gone in that bliss. So they don't care of their looks and appearance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Excellent answer. So follow up, what is Krishna's message about Ichcha and Dvesha, and why is it important to manage Ichcha and Dvesha in order to see the truth and align with the divine?
So attachment to desires is Ichcha and aversion is Dvesha. And both these combined is Moha. And this causes delusion, which is taking us away from the virtue of truth. When one is in either of these states, one is far from being in state of samatvam. To align with the divine, one needs to be in the form of samatvam by practicing balance and moderation. Ichcha and Dvesha are also illusionary in its nature. They can make one get lost. Ichcha from far and outside can be very luring and tempting, and one can get trapped in this maze soon without even realizing it. Similarly, Dvesha is an emotion that exerts and driven by one's own impulse. They're temporary and never-ending in nature. Swami Vivekananda has pointed by giving an example of our five senses. All of our senses are focusing outside and none of them are focusing inside. So when one remains focused on the senses, one can be constantly caught between the vicious cycle, that is Moha Kalilam, of Ichcha and Dvesha. Ichcha and Dvesha also makes us lose the reality. One is unable to decipher between what is right or dharma. And one is thus moving away from the truth. Therefore, sages have said to remain in the middle, neither to attach yourself nor create hatred or aversion about something. And this will help one to be in his bliss, as this is the only absolute truth. Space, time, matter are all created by God simultaneously. God is beyond all these elements of nature, and the one and only way to experience and become dear to God is through bhakti. By keeping a check on our ego, delusion, pride, attachment, and similar vikaras, and then surrendering ourselves finally to our Guru and to Krishna. Now, truth is something that cannot be changed with time. Ichcha and Dvesha are a form of Maya that restricts oneself from seeing this absolute truth. And we all are devotees and we are all dear to that Godhead. So if we see devotee in each being with same bhava of love that one would have for that Godhead, as ultimately everything is his creation and he is there in each being. We are all one from that same source. This makes us as a drop of that same ocean. Therefore, as human beings living in this material world, if we choose to live without the sense of ego, attachment, we have nothing that belongs to us, as we all belong to that one and only one Supreme Personality of Godhead. All desires would lead to that one, as he is the only truth, and there is nothing to be envy of. There is no place for Dvesha, as he knows only love. Love is the only quality that binds us all together and is in the deep core of each of us. It is the true nature of divine and the absolute truth. In some of us, it's at surface, and for some, we just need to remove that dust to let it come on the surface. As humans living in this material world, it's natural to have desires as well as thoughts of aversion. However, if we consistently practice bhakti with conviction and samatvam, we can offer all such desires and thoughts of aversion to Krishna. By doing such sacrifices of our vices, we will become empty from within, and then it will just become easier for us to see the truth and align ourselves with the divine and remain in that ultimate bliss. And again, another doha from Kabir. ऐसी वाणी बोलिए मन का आपा खोए औरन को शीतल नहीं शीतल करे आपहु शीतल होए, which means speak in words so sweet that fills the heart with joy like a cool breeze in summer for others and self to enjoy. In speech, use such words that your ego is eliminated. Don't boast, don't gloat, don't make yourself out to be big, important, rich, or anything else that attaches with ego. Building the ego takes energy from the body, takes away the body composure. If ego is lost in one's speech, the listener finds peace from listening to it. And one of the spiritual speaker that I follow had said, "Tu karta mat ban, kartavya कृतज्ञता से बस करता जा," which means don't be the doer, just fulfill your duties with humility of bhava and service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Chitraji, for all the research. Much appreciated. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to raise, but I think she has been pretty detailed here. So what does Krishna say about power of bhakti, Simranji?
Hare Krishna. Just now, Asha told us that bhakti is the easiest way to liberation. So, bhakti helps us destroy our sins and balance our karmic accounts and helps us free from the clutches of Ichcha and Dvesha. So, helps us to achieve Samatvam and reach Krishna. Krishna also assures us that enlightened souls remember him even at the time of death. After death, they reach Krishna and never have to be born again. So if we have bhakti, this glorious possibility awaits us. Just have simple and pure humble bhakti, Shravanam and service to Guru and Krishna. It will help us develop our bhakti more. So Guruji had told us about one quote from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Bhagwano Vacha, Aham Bhakta Paradhino, Hayas Aswatantra Iva Dvija, Sudha Sadhu Bir Grasta Hridayo Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriya, which means I am supremely independent, but this magic wand of bhakti makes me dance like a snake charmer makes the snake dance. My devotees have taken my heart. What to talk of my devotees? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. That is the power of bhakti. Through other paths, we cannot realize God in his personal form. We can go close to him, but not completely realize him or merge with him. I also personally feel bhakti changes your life enormously. When bhakti comes in your life, all the negativity goes out. Bhak- when we have pure and humble bhakti in our life, it's as if Lord holds our hand and walks us the path of life. तेरो नाम जो पायो हरि और कोई सुध ना रही, which means that now that I found your name, O Krishna, I have no sense of anything else. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Everybody, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much to each one of you for your support and love and participation. I know you all worked hard for the revision. I really appreciate that. Most of you are busy, you have your work and social commitments. In spite of all of that, you are demonstrating conviction already. So I'm so happy. I know this is what Krishna wants, and this is a golden opportunity and you are already making the most of it. So super happy. Thank you so much. So next week we will start chapter 8. I think we will go deeper into many aspects of bhakti and many of the terms that Sujata ji was trying to explain. We will revisit them as well. Sulata ji, parts of what you were trying to explain will also come in the next chapter. So let's all give a big round of applause to ourselves. Great job. Chapter 7. Next week we will start chapter 8. Okay, with that. Hare Krishna then. Thank you so much. See you all next week.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.